Buffalo Bills fans, it's time to sit up straight because the numbers just dropped and they are spicy. After months of grinding through film, depth charts, and roster evaluations across the entire league, the verdict is officially in on Josh Allen's supporting cast, and folks, this might be the best news Bills Mafia has heard in years. Buffalo's offense has been ranked the second-best offensive situation in the entire National Football League. Not top 10, not top 5. Number 2, out of 32 teams. Let that sink in for a moment before we break down exactly why. For years now, the narrative around Buffalo has been painfully consistent. Josh Allen is a superhero. Josh Allen carries this team on his back. Josh Allen needs more help, more weapons, more protection, more playmakers who can create something when he's not busy pulling off some impossible highlight reel escape act in the pocket. That criticism, fair or not, has followed this franchise for years. But according to this latest grading breakdown, that story might finally, officially be over. Only one team in the entire league finished ahead of Buffalo when you combine quarterback play, skill position talent, offensive line quality, and offensive coordination. One team. That's it. So let's start where every great offense starts, under center. Josh Allen received the highest possible quarterback grade a player can earn in this system. And really, is anybody shocked by that? He is the engine of this entire operation. He's the identity of this franchise. He's the reason every single season in Buffalo comes with legitimate championship or bust expectations hanging over it like a storm cloud that everyone's actually excited about. When you're grading quarterbacks across the league, Josh Allen sits at the very top of the mountain. No debate necessary. But here's the part of the story that should actually get Bills Mafia fired up. This time, the support around him looks completely different than in years past. Let's start with James Cook, because this is where things get exciting. Cook isn't just being viewed as another solid, productive NFL running back anymore. He's being graded as a franchise cornerstone. One of the elite players at his position in the entire league, a player capable of legitimately changing the way opposing defenses have to game plan against Buffalo. And that matters more than people realize. Josh Allen shouldn't have to manufacture every single explosive play using his own arm or his own legs every single week. That's exhausting, it's unsustainable over 17 games, and frankly, it's not fair to ask of any quarterback, even one as freakishly talented as Allen. James Cook now gives this offense another player who can single-handedly take over a football game on any given Sunday. That's not depth. That's a legitimate weapon. Then you layer in DJ Moore, and the picture gets even scarier for opposing defensive coordinators. Moore gives Buffalo a proven, battle-tested outside receiver, someone who can win after the catch, someone who can shrug off physical, aggressive coverage, and someone who forces opposing defensive backs to respect every single blade of grass on the football field. You can't just roll one safety over and call it a day when DJ Moore is lined up outside. Khalil Shakir, meanwhile, gives Josh Allen something just as valuable, if slightly less flashy, reliability. When Allen needs a chain mover, a safety valve, a guy who's going to be exactly where he's supposed to be on third down, Shakir is that guy. Then over the middle of the field, Dalton Kincaid gives this offense serious matchup potential, the kind of tight end who can torment a linebacker in coverage or make a safety pay for hesitating. And Dawson Knox rounds things out as another legitimate starting caliber tight end, which means offensive coordinator Joe Brady doesn't have to tip his hand every time he goes to heavier personnel packages. Two tight end sets don't have to mean running play anymore. That unpredictability is exactly what modern NFL defenses fear the most. Here's the beauty of it all. Buffalo may not have that one single receiver who every talking head in America agrees is the best in football. There's no consensus number one alpha wideout on this roster. And you know what? It genuinely doesn't matter, because the Bills have options everywhere else. They can attack you with speed. They can attack you with size. They can attack you with two tight ends stacked in the formation. They can hand it off to James Cook and let him do the rest. This offense doesn't have one obvious identity that a defensive coordinator can simply scheme around all week. It has multiple identities, and that versatility alone should make opposing coaches lose sleep. And none of it works without the big uglies up front protecting everybody. Buffalo's offensive line was graded as the fifth best unit in the entire NFL. Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, and Connor McGovern give the Bills three proven, legitimate quality starters protecting the single most valuable asset in that entire building. When your franchise quarterback has time to throw, good things happen. When your franchise quarterback has a running lane to hit, good things happen. Buffalo's offensive line is making sure both of those things happen on a weekly basis. So when you step back and look at the full picture, it becomes crystal clear why this offense is grading out so incredibly high. This isn't a case of one transcendent superstar quarterback single-handedly dragging a mediocre supporting cast to an inflated score. This is a complete, fully loaded offensive machine. The quarterback is elite. The running back is elite. The skill position group has legitimate depth at every single spot. The offensive line ranks top 5 in the entire league. And the offensive coordinator already has a proven track record of building successful, explosive offenses at previous stops. Every single ingredient is there. This should be, and probably will be, one of the single most dangerous offensive units in all of professional football this season. But, and Bills Mafia, you knew there was going to be a but coming. Here's where things get real. And here's where every honest fan needs to have an honest conversation. If this offense truly is this good, if it truly is the second best situation in the entire NFL, then Buffalo simply cannot afford to let the other side of the football waste it. The Bills cannot go out and score 30 points in a January playoff game only to watch the season slip away again because the defense couldn't get a single crucial stop when it mattered most. We've seen that horror movie before in Buffalo. Nobody wants a sequel. And that brings us to a name that's suddenly become fascinating to think about. Kenny Moore II. Now let's be completely transparent here before anybody runs off with wild rumors. There is no confirmed visit. There is no reported contract offer. There is no verified negotiation happening between Kenny Moore and the Buffalo Bills organization. This is purely a hypothetical, a what-if scenario worth exploring. But unlike some fantasy blockbuster trade idea that will never actually happen, Kenny Moore is a real, actual, available free agent right now. The Indianapolis Colts released the veteran defensive back after they were unable to complete a trade involving him, and that suddenly creates a legitimate opportunity for a contending team looking for experience, toughness, and immediate help in the slot. Moore has spent years mastering one of the most difficult, demanding positions in modern football, playing the slot corner spot against shifty receivers in the middle of the field where split-second reactions decide games. He can cover receivers inside. He can blitz off the edge when called upon. He can tackle in space, which sounds simple until you watch how many defensive backs around the league genuinely struggle with it. He can diagnose plays quickly, reading routes and run schemes with a kind of instinct that only comes from years of high-level snaps. And he brings exactly the kind of grizzled veteran presence that becomes invaluable when you're facing off against elite, high-powered quarterbacks in the cold, unforgiving month of January. Would Kenny Moore single-handedly transform Buffalo's entire defense overnight? Of course not, and nobody's suggesting that. But that's not actually what the Bills would need him to do. What Buffalo needs is dependability. What Buffalo needs is fewer unknowns and question marks heading into a season with real Super Bowl aspirations. They need somebody who can line up confidently against a dangerous slot receiver and, in doing so, allow the rest of that secondary to play faster, freer, and more aggressively because they trust the guy next to them. Here's the thing about having a top-2 offense in the entire NFL. You don't necessarily need a defense absolutely loaded with superstars at every single position. Sometimes all you really need is a defense capable of forcing one crucial turnover, getting off the field on 1 3rd down, creating one extra possession that puts the football back in Josh Allen's hands with a chance to close out the game. That's it. That's the margin championship teams live and die by. Kenny Moore could potentially help turn Buffalo into exactly that kind of defense. The real questions now become price tag, defined role, and overall fit within the current roster. Moore is undeniably a veteran at this stage of his career, and Buffalo's front office would have to seriously weigh whether his experience is worth bringing into a secondary that already features younger players the coaching staff presumably wants to evaluate and develop moving forward. But here's the reality check that matters most in all of this. This is not a rebuilding football team. This is not the moment to be precious about protecting every single roster spot in the name of long-term development. Buffalo is trying to win a Super Bowl right now, this year, while Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level. And when your offense is already being considered the second-best situation in all of professional football, the front office owes it to this fan base to explore every single realistic avenue to support it. James Cook can absolutely punish opposing defenses. DJ Moore can win outside against anybody in the league. Kincaid and Knox can attack you relentlessly over the middle of the field. The offensive line can keep Josh Allen upright and protected in the pocket. Joe Brady has all the pieces in front of him to build one of the most flexible, unpredictable offensive attacks anywhere in football. The offense has officially done its job on paper. Now the defense simply has to make sure all of that firepower actually means something when it matters most, in the cold in January. With a season on the line, maybe Kenny Moore signs somewhere else entirely. Maybe Buffalo's front office genuinely believes their younger cornerbacks are ready to take that next step right now. Maybe the price tag simply doesn't line up with what makes sense for this roster. But if there's a path for the Bills to add a proven, battle-tested veteran without sacrificing major future draft capital, they owe it to themselves and to this entire fan base to at least explore it. Josh Allen finally, truly has an offense built to win everything. The only truly unacceptable outcome at this point would be watching that offense carry Buffalo all season long, only for the defense to come up short when the lights shine brightest. So Bills Mafia, we want to hear it straight from you. Should Buffalo pick up the phone and call Kenny Moore right now? Or should the front office trust the young talent already sitting in that secondary room? Sound off in the comments below, tell us exactly where you stand, and don't be shy about telling us if you think we're completely wrong here. That's half the fun. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, do us a favor, smash that like button. Drop your predictions in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed to Buffalo Focus so you never miss a single update as this roster takes shape heading into the season. Go Bills, and we'll catch you in the next one.